Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast brought to you by myself, Uncommon Fossil, and 10 Types.
Yep. Hello, everyone.
So we're a couple days into Mythical Island. I had to look down at my sheet of paper because I always forget what they're called. And of course, we have the regular TCG and Pocket. And anyway, I can't keep them straight. But Mythical Island, the first new expansion to Pocket. I guess since it started, right? I guess the first set, I guess, was new at the time, but it was also the game was new too. So first time we've got a expansion in the game. It is, let's see, 86 cards. It says that might be. I don't know if that includes the alternate arts or not, but
it does. I think it's 60. I was gonna say it's 68 new cards, but Old Amber isn't new at all. Mew is technically not new, though it's a card that people no one really had as far. I've never seen anyone play. It's not that good, but it was like some secret rare for completing the decks or something in the previous expansion, something like that.
Right.
But regardless, a good chunk of new cards, but it's a mini set, right? So it's kind of like a third of a set, I guess, is kind of how we can look at it.
Yes, although I think Wasi says don't call it a mini set. It's not. It's a theme set. But
theme set. What does that
whatever
mean?
it's called? I mean, they call it something. I don't remember. I don't have the app open right now, but it's mini set's what it's called in the TCG, right? So they have to have different terminology.
Yeah, I mean, it's like an expand. Well, it's not a set; it's an expansion too. So regardless, that obviously doesn't matter.
Right.
But the expansion brought us a bunch of new cards.
Yeah,
brought us 5 new EXs.
Yeah. So I mean, we've got. I mean, the big difference is in one sense with Genetic Apex and whatever's going to come in January, you have 3 different packs to choose from. This you have 1 pack, so it's kind of like just getting the Charizard decks of Genetic Apex, kind of. And there's 5 EXs, which I know you're saying. And there are 5 EXs in each of the packs from Genetic Apex, each of the Pikachu, Charizard, Mewtwo, and then there's 5, 19, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. I think, of 3 diamond, which is a lot less. I think there was like 15 or 16 in each of the Genetic Apex. So there's a big reduction in the 3 diamonds, actually. So I'm pulling more 1 and 2 diamond cards, but the EX count is the same.
Okay. So, and overall, I think this set, it's the cards. Oh, the one thing that's really important is that there are a lot of Pokemon that have had, that already had cards that are getting new cards in this expansion. We have, just flipping through, you have, Execute and Executor, you have Ponyta, Rapidash, Magmar, Vaporeon. There's a lot I could go through, and they're different. They're not some are very different, some are a little different, and this kind of makes an interesting conversation about the best previous evolutions and the best final evolutions as well. For example, the Executor, I think there's a reason to play either Executor, the single point Executors.
Yeah, I mean, it does show the limitation of a 20-card deck with only 2 copies of each, because mixing and matching, you're either all for one or one of each, right? With the 4 cards copies in the regular TCG, obviously you can have more diverse, more options, right? 3 and 1 is obviously certainly doable and not uncommon. So you're more often going to be all in with Pocket than the regular TCG.
Yeah, and if they print, I mean, there's I believe 3 different Mankeys, and so you can't play all those. I mean, you wouldn't play all of them,
right?
Obviously, because that's bad. But yeah, you can't mix and match that way. I don't think it's bad though. And also I do like the fact that they are reprinting Pokemon, not same cards, but the same Pokemon on different cards, because they have to do that at some point. They're gonna run out after I don't know, a year, or something like that. So then they could, the people, if everyone's used to getting all these new Pokemon, you're eventually gonna run out of that experience and get mostly these reprints, and that would be kind of boring. If it's only that, so I like the mixture here, and the cards are cool, as I said.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, having the some duplicates of the same card and obviously lets you give more options. No, it's a good thing. So all in all, I think what they're doing is pretty good. I wish there was 1 or 2 trainers that were a little more important in general for things. The trainers they have are important for specific decks. So that's the downside. I just wish, I still want to get a card that's just get a random evolution Pokemon, say, from the deck.
Yeah. I think we'll talk about Mythical Slab. Mythical Slab
Yeah.
helps you get evolutions for the Mewtwo deck specifically. It's good. It doesn't search out evolutions, but it can get them. Blue and Leaf are pretty universal. I think Blue and Leaf, they're kind of like Giovanni and X Speed respectively. They're like different, but they fit. In some ways, you can compare those cards, and so that makes them a little less interesting. Versus X Speed was like entirely unique, and so now Leaf's like a double X Speed, and you can just say that's what it is, and you already have X Speed. So then Blue's like an
Right.
anti-Giovanni, again a little different, but it's something you can compare it to, so it's less exciting. And I think they're a little weaker than those cards as well. But I mean,
Yeah.
I think they're definitely decent cards.
Right. They're decent. There's not like a staple trainer, which I would have liked, like something that most decks want to play. I just would have liked that, but it's fine. It's early days. It's okay. And there's a lot there's a lot of things that are meaningful, right? A lot of it's mixing up, modifying existing decks, and a little bit of new stuff too. What I've found at this point, we're in like what 4 or 5 days as of recording. I've got about in terms of the percentage of like EXs and three diamonds cards, I've got the percentage close to where I have been after what 2 months of Genetic Apex. So got got a good number of the cards pretty quick. Although I'm still like less than 50% of the EXs, but that's still where I am with Genetic Apex too. So um,
Yeah, I definitely am missing a lot of like because with genetic apex, one thing that's or like with I guess this is probably how all main sets are going to be. There, as you said, there's like three different sets, but then there's also cards that are in all the sets, and so I just have like a ton of copies of those, and everyone does, and they're kind of
right,
boring. They're not all super boring. There's some that are meaningful, but ultimately that's kind of weird. So you end up with a ton of copies of some cards, and then you're probably focusing more on some packs than others. So there are some like other packs where you just start missing a bunch of cards, and it's not like a terrible experience, but ultimately you'll end up with a lot of because of course you'll end up with duplicates of like commons and stuff that you can't
right.
really do anything with. You can shine dust or whatever, which is okay, but it's not like that cool. I mean, you don't want to really care that much about like sparkly like snipies or something, as opposed to like it'd be cooler. I don't know too much about that. I haven't really done that's with that essentially at all, but um, it's not that interesting. With trading though, it might be more interesting, which we'll be getting. Um, Presumably with the main set next expansion or sometime around
Ye-
then in January.
They said January, and I think that the expectation I think is the main set's like January 30th. So my initial
Oh,
thought was it'd be the same time, but maybe trading would come first, right? Obviously, the sooner the trading comes, the better. But time will tell. The 30th is not announced by Pokemon. That's just what the people that kind of dig in and research this stuff are anticipating, I think. So,
mhm. And yeah, so that'll be cool to see, but obviously that's a little ways away, and not what we're talking about now. But
no.
what we are talking about, also one thing we are recording this a few days before posting it, so we've only been, as you said, we've only been playing with this new expansion for a few days now, but yeah, the sets. I played with a few decks. I've played with, so I do have the Celebi EX Superior deck. I was able to wonder pick like a Celebi EX, and I pulled the rest. And that deck's pretty fun. And then I have played with like Mewtwo. I have some of the new cards for that. But what decks have you been playing from the new set?
I mean, I have one Celebi EX, and I did try the Celebi EX deck with one Celebi, and it was underwhelming, not surprisingly. So
Yeah.
I've got. Let me just look at the list of the things here. So I've had the Mewtwo EX. So I'm playing. That's improved with the
Mythical
new
Slab.
Mythical Slab. So that was like the first thing I did to just slap that Mythical Slab in the deck, and now I'm playing it with. And there's two other ways you can do it. There's the Mew EX, which haven't been doing that yet, but I did pull a Mew EX, so I can do that. But then I've been doing the one that draws Sigilyph, right? That 80 HP
Yeah.
draws a card. So which that does make the deck better all in all, right? The slab stone. What's that thing called? I'm terrible with it.
Mythical Slab. It's such a like it's kind of a weird name. It doesn't really. I don't know. Like a lot of these are very generic. They're well, okay. Budding Expeditioner is also like um kind of weird. It's not like that weird of a name, but like a lot of them are just characters, and then the items are like simplified, like Old Amber. In the regular TCG, it's what Antique Old Amber or something. I don't know. So
Yeah.
they're like generally simplified, but Mythical Slab. I don't know. Maybe it's based on something specific that I don't know, but it's kind of weird. And Like it kind of fits with the set name, but yeah.
Right. So in terms of just the decks, real quick, I built the Scolipede Weezing because I had a Weezing, the Koga deck, so did it with the Scolipede because the Scolipede's only it's a stage 2, but it's a 2 diamond. So I had a bunch of copies when I looked in my
Oh,
collection.
that's a 2 diamond. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so I had multiple, so I didn't have any issues with the evolution line there. So that was nice. And then I have the water, the Gyarados EX because I pulled the first pack I opened. I pulled a Gyarados and I got another one. So, and I've been playing like Starmie and stuff with Misty. So that was the first really new deck I built with Gyarados. Again, very inconsistent. Probably more inconsistent than the old Misty decks, just because you need so many energies.
Yeah, I haven't played that. I actually don't have Misties. I have one. Just one though.
Yeah,
So I need to get that at some point. I might craft that. I don't have the 2 Gyarados either. I haven't really played that much water because I only have one Misty, and
yeah.
I just like don't have a lot of the water cards. But it's a deck that seems cool. And there's the new Vaporeon. Have you played that? Like any water deck with that?
So, I might have tried it like once, but that's about it. So, obviously, the problem if you're playing Misty is the Vaporeon evolves from the Eevee, but that means you can't Misty to your Eevee. If you don't have a Water Pokemon in play, you know it limits the turns you can play your Misty on, so it gets that much worse. And I'm not thrilled with the ability. I got to say. Well, first off, 60 damage for 3 energy isn't good, right?
No, it's not like completely unusable, but it's not.
Mm,
It's not there for its attack.
Right. You're moving your water energy around, which traditionally I had played a fair amount of Starmie. So the idea, I guess, is you can move your water energies from the bench to the active as much as you want. So you're retreating to the bench, I guess, to avoid getting knocked out, moving to the active. Usually, to me, the water decks are just you just want to start smacking. You know, you need to get a little bit of lucky with your Misties, but you know, like with Starmie, you're doing obviously just 2 energies, which isn't terrible even just without hitting Misties. So it's just you're just trying to hit hard and fast. So I
Yeah,
haven't
but then you can like hit switch into Gyarados or something stronger or something with more HP, right? Because eventually you'll just get knocked out. But generally you'll be two-shotted. And not I don't know. Theoretically, generally you'll be two-shotted by like Pikachu EX. But the
right.
main decks being played right now are Mewtwo EX and Gardevoir EX. Or no, or Mewtwo EX and Celebi EX, which are Celebi EX might be one-shotting you. Mewtwo EX will definitely be one-shotting you. So it's not as useful as I think it was before. But
Yeah, I mean the other thing is the deck space, right? You have more Pokemon. If you're playing the Vaporeon, you need 2 Vaporeons, you need 2 EVs, and that's still just a support Pokemon, right? You still need your attacker, and if you're playing like the Gyarados, then it's 2 Gyarados, 2 basic, and you probably need something else, right? You need
yeah, I mean, it's only useful if you really have two different attackers. So you need two. So like Starmie EX, the Gyarados EX, that's 6 different Pokemon. Presumably, you're playing two of each because I think you have consistency issues into drawing it. Where you
yeah,
do need. So I would play two of each, and then that's 12 spots, and then you play like research and poke. You can do stuff, but you don't have that much space to work with. And yeah, oh, one thing I do want to say, a quick thing that is very important actually, or I think is something that I'd highly recommend is
yep.
don't spend once you're like relatively content with your collection. If you're missing a few things, even like a number of things, that's fine. But if you find yourself consistently opening packs and getting things that you just don't want, then just save your pack hourglasses. So I've stop spending my pack hourglasses. Are you still spending those or not?
I've spent them all still. I still want to open some more packs. I mean, when this set dropped, I hadn't spent anything for the month, so I was close to 200 pack hourglasses when Mythical Island dropped. So it was opened a lot of packs quickly, which is good. What I want to do though is, but yes, mostly I'm just going to start opening the 2 packs a day, and pretty soon I think I'm going to start going back to Genetic Apex, right? Because there's still more, and there's better cards in Genetic Apex I don't have than Mythical Island. Um, you know,
Yeah, yeah, I've gone back to that. There are a few cards that I'm looking for from that, Misty and Articuno EX, things like that. But
and I actually
Mewtwo EX. Oh, yeah, sorry, what were you saying?
So I actually think that's other people are doing that as well. Because when Mythical Island dropped, it was I was seeing like in the Wonder Picks, one Genetic Apex pack was pretty much typical. Today, now like 4 or 5 days later, I'm now seeing 2 or even 3 pretty common of Genetic Apex uh, packs for Wonder Picks. So other people I think have now smooth back or are in the process of switching back over.
Yeah, and so and you originally we obviously talked about this off camera and like not recording, and we were
Yep.
we're not on camera, but off recording, and so you said you were kind of concerned about not being able to get the genetic Apex card because to get specific cards without trading, then the
Right.
thing you do is you wonder pick, and if no one's opening those packs, then you can't wonder pick from them. Ultimately, I think. I don't know if Pokemon just does the Wonder Picks completely randomly. I'm not exactly sure how it chooses. Like all my Wonder Picks, so I play the game in English, and all my Wonder Picks, outside of friends, though I think all my friends might be English. Or if there was one friend who like wasn't in English, but I haven't seen their pack in a while. So, anyways, all the random Wonder Picks though are in English, which is presumably intended. So it's not just completely random, but there's a chance it does change the language to English, but I doubt that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've just kind of accepted friend requests whenever people sent them to me. So I have non-English packs as well, but they're only in those friend packs. Which at some point I might drop for Wonder Pixel. I'd rather just have the English cards, so I might actually kind of want to rethink the friend list a little bit, just because it's a little awkward. I'm kind of
Yeah. Oh,
losing
and if you
Wonder
want to
Pick
friend me,
slots.
like tell me, like so random people. So I don't accept friend requests from just like some random person after a match. Um, but so if you want to friend request me, just like say like a comment or like just like if I know you, I do it. But from random people that I don't know, obviously I guess they're probably just doing it for like Wonder Pick stuff, which is understandable. I think with trading, the friend thing will be more meaningful in terms of the economy, and I think Pokemon, and you've talked about this some, that it's
Hmm.
like about the community, which is cool. Trying to get a good community. The Pokemon community is obviously big, and also somewhat disjointed with like the TCG and the players,
Yeah.
like the players and the collectors and the mobile game players and stuff like that. But regardless, that's not really about this set, but something you to say.
No, yeah, right. I think right. Will friends be a part of trading? It might be, and there is the whole liking showcases too, right? I
Oh yeah,
I do like all my friends showcases every day. So because that is, you want to get those five free shop tickets every day, or extra ones, I guess. And you can play the game, but also the more the game's going on, you can get it for thanks at the end of a match. But that just happens less often. Early on, it was almost every time. Now it's like half the time, maybe less. So if it's half the time, I'm not playing 10 games every day necessarily. Every
yeah.
day.
I think also like people have been with the new set. I've been seeing like less, and with like the new event, the emblem event. I've just been getting like less thanks. No,
Yeah.
not necessarily. I don't actually know about listening, but I've been like people being more like toxic. Like they've been like slow playing or just quitting like a lot. Like yeah, there are times to quit, but
Yeah.
people are just quitting. It's like, oh, they attack and then quit. And there are times when you like just don't think about something or like attacking, thinking as you're attacking, and that it happens, but it's
Right.
not like happening all the time. And then also, people like are like, oh, the game like got off to a little awkward start, but it's not like they're out of it and then they just quit. Like so, it's
Right.
like, and I want to play out the game, and so that does like kind of annoying. It's not like all the time, but it has been happening more, which is I think something to know. I don't know if how much Pokemon cares about that, and it's not like the game's like a terrible experience or anything like that. But as the game, and this is something you generally see with games as they develop. But regardless,
Yeah.
let's talk about I think Mewtwo EX. You mentioned Mythical Slab. It lets you look at the top card of your deck,
Right.
and if it's a Psychic Pokemon, you put it into your hand. Otherwise, you put it on the bottom of your deck to thin that card out of the way to hopefully get a Psychic Pokemon.
Right.
Though obviously it could like put a card to the bottom that you want, but it's generally good to put the card in the bottom,
Right. I mean, like if
or
it's
not super, or like neutral.
yeah. I mean, obviously, if you had the choice about it, that'd be better. Like if it was a presser's research, I would probably just rather have had that to top deck next turn, right?
Yeah, hit that.
Generally.
That.
But yeah, and I actually haven't fully sorted out, I got to say, the sequencing of the whole thing. If I have slabs and I have Pokeballs
Pokeball.
and I have
Yeah.
research, and it's my first, especially in what I have in hand, like what cards I need. So it does get more complicated that way, right? Trying to control the odds to get what you need. Depending, do you need basic Pokemon? Do you need the evolutions and all? So, which is good too. It's good having stuff to have to figure out. But it's an important card, right? Because this is a type of card I wish was more available for general. Although this is actually even better than just for any evolution card, right? Well, it's different, right? You look at you're
Yeah.
in a sense you're going from a 20 card deck. In a sense, it kind of makes it an 18 card deck in one sense, which is actually even an improvement in itself. But obviously, you have the Gardevoir line. You've got to get the Ralts, the Curlia, the Gardevoir, and when that does, and that swings the game generally. So now the odds of that happening have noticeably taken an upswing with this card. So I think it's a big plus to to Gardevoir decks is what I'd say, right?
Yeah, Gardevoir. I think any evolution psychic deck, like if you're playing Gengar, then it would also be good. And yeah, but I do like the card kind of. I mean, So I wasn't a massive fan of Mewtwo EX. Like, not that I thought it was bad, but I thought it had serious consistency issues. That like Pikachu EX and that the Water decks didn't have in terms of like getting your attackers. And so now I think that. So what do you think the best deck is in the game right now? Or do you not like really?
Well,
Because I think it's Mewtwo. I think I didn't think it was Mewtwo before. Now I think it's Mewtwo. Though I haven't played that much Pikachu in the format. And I've said this before. I've like been. I mean, when the set dropped for the first like couple of days, I only saw Celebi EX essentially entirely. Like 2/3 to 3/4 of my game were
yeah.
Celebi EX, and it was like it's okay. Celebi EX and mirrors are like kind of. I think Celebi EX is. What are your thoughts on that card and like design wise?
All right, so Celebi EX, which I have, like I said, I only have one copy. So, but obviously, I mean, big basics are always appealing. First off, two energy, that's not bad. That's doable. The one annoying thing is it increases the coin flips in the game. So the game already that's the one downside. I felt the regular TCG at times I've complained to you certainly that it feels a little too random. What how some random's good. How much random is debatable, right? But I think that Pocket's even more random, partly because the limitation of the trainers um, in it and what they do. So and it feels like there's a lot more coin flips in Pocket than there is in the regular TCG. So adding another deck that's a coin flip base, I don't love that, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think it's actually so like I don't like coin flips that are swingy, like just a singular coin flip that's swingy. But
Yeah,
with Celebi, you're actually gonna be flipping lots of coins, and also like Maractus, right? That was a Celebi X is very similar to Maractus.
yeah, that's
And
true.
that was fun, right?
Yeah, that was fun. That was also fun because it was a single prize deck. So it was a single prize deck that could do big damage. It's less fun when you can do 200 damage, let's say, from a single prize Pokemon. It's a lot more fun than doing 200 damage from a multi prize or multi point Pokemon. My apologies.
Yeah. Um, and then that's true. I think it's also like Maractus was well, and you could play it in standard at the time, and it wasn't good in theme as well.
Right.
It wasn't like amazing in theme. It was decent. But then in like standard, at least it was kind of silly. It was kind of silly in theme too. And I think Celebi, yes, it's not like it's so high, especially because it was so highly played. I was just kind of getting sick of it, even though it's kind of fun, like with that similar experience. And you do flip lots of coins, which is kind of like I've flipped. This is why I want to flip the coins because it's fun. And so I've had people and like I'm like, okay, I got like 10 coins. I want to see what happens. They just quit. And it's like, well, and then you could win too. I could just flip a bunch of tails and you could win.
Yeah.
So and also it's funny. Like it's funny to flip lots of coins. Anyway, so but yeah, I've certainly flipped 8 coins.
Mhm.
I might have flipped 10.
All
Um
right. So
still be EX is fun though.
all right, so let me ask you a question. When you're flipping a whole bunch of coins, do you like the way they implemented the coin flip in Pocket, where you manually flip the first coin and then it automatically does the rest? Is that a good? Is that feel good to you, or not?
No, no. I think it's kind of stupid. I think like uh I get the idea of wanting to be able to flip coins because that's fun.
Yeah.
Um and but you only flip one coin. So
Right.
I think it should be either like they did this middle ground, which is a lot of the things that they've done with Pocket. Some point I might talk about that. I've talked about it some, how it's like middle ground between collecting and playing and all these different things. And Pokemon's trying to capture a big audience. So they want it to be fast enough that like
Hmm.
it's not super slow. Like if your opponent is say AFK, like you shouldn't AFK if you're attacking, but like theoretically, right?
Yes.
And that doesn't really happen, but it could happen a few. I've seen like people AFK like random times. So um, at that point, you want to make sure it's fast enough that you're not waiting for a bunch of coin flips, but you also want it to have some form of like interaction. Like you have the pack swiping, which I think the pack swiping is kind of cool. And so ideally it would be something that you could choose, but you can't make it both players have like a setting separately. It needs to be the same for both players. Because if it's not, then you get this time sync difference, which is obviously a very big problem.
Yeah.
So ignoring Celebi EX, I'd like you to flip each coin individually. With Celebi EX though, that's like a lot of coins, right? So
It is,
um,
yes.
I don't hate it. Like I think it's I kind of see why they did it. Like with Celebi EX, I think it actually might be like a good way to do it, but I might just say flip the coins automatically as well. I don't know. I think Celebi EX is like it just flips so many coins, and I don't I don't know. I think it's fine. It gives you this like feeling of control. Obviously, it's not. I assume it's entirely random, and probably decide before you flip it. But regardless, it's more
Yeah.
fun to like have some like with Wonder Picks. It's not like oh you just get a random. I mean you do just get a random card, but you have and you get the illusion of choice, right?
Right. Well, you get to choose which of the 5 slots it is, and I think they've actually assigned the slots before you pick. I believe, right?
I
At
think.
least I hope so.
I
Um,
mean, it doesn't really. It's entirely random, anyways. So
yeah.
theoretically, like it shouldn't. It doesn't matter. I mean, like it kind of feels bad in some ways, but it's all random. So,
Yeah,
uh,
look on the coin flip. Two things. First off, I am still trying to figure out, is there a path for my finger to fall to flow to get heads? And sometimes I think like I've got something, and then it goes, but it's probably just randomness, right?
yeah. No, I
Looking for
think a lot of
patterns.
people, it's yeah,
Um,
some sort of bias. I don't know.
so, and the other thing though is the timer is kind of weird in Pocket, and it's not what we want to talk about, right? But sometimes, you have like a 90-second turn timer with not an action timer. So, like if you had to flip each coin individually, and right now, if you had like 20-second timer, if you had 8 flips, you might have like having to like go real fast, which wouldn't be fun. But on the other hand, if you always had like 90 seconds to flip coins every time, that wouldn't be good either, right? So, anyway,
Yeah.
so.
Um.
And then Celebi can heal. Now the big issue with
Oh, with
this,
like Erica.
yeah, with
Yeah.
Erica, which you
So
may or may
Celebi,
not
I was like,
play.
what? Celebi doesn't like heal itself.
No, you can
Yeah.
play Erica in it. I don't know what the list play exactly.
Yeah,
Um,
they usually play Erica. Honestly, the deck doesn't like have that many cards it really needs. Erica's not even. I played this deck some, and I played against it, and Erica's only okay in the deck. I think it's not like bad, but it's not a card that adds that much value either.
yeah, I mean the big issue is you've got to get your stage 2. You got to get Superior into play, right? Otherwise, Celebi is not going to do enough damage, probably.
Yeah, I think Celebi EX without Superior is better than Mewtwo EX without Gardevoir, though. Like you can attack potentially big damage back to back, which you can't do with Mewtwo EX.
Yeah, I mean yeah. I don't know which is better. If it was just do 50 for 2, right? It would be underwhelming. So I'm not sure. But it wants Superior. It's a stage 2. Obviously, there's no rare candy, or right, or is it not rare candy? It does something different either, right? I don't believe.
Yeah, no.
I don't know what they might print rare candy have it different than TCG too. So who knows? But you can't go from the basic to the stage 2, and you have a very hard time getting your evolution Pokemon. So Gardevoir got that big boost because of the slab, but that's like I said, I only have one Celebi, but the times I played it, getting everything to align properly was very rare. Just to get my Superior evolved before I was like out of the game was tricky.
Yeah, I think, but you also only had one Celebi. I mean, I don't know if that
Yeah.
changes the superior thing, but I found it okay. Like I think it's so. What do you think? How good do you think Mewtwo EX is? How good do you think Celebi EX is in this format?
I mean, I think Mewtwo's EX is better for sure.
Yeah,
And I
I
think it
agree.
was, it was obviously better than Celebi before Mythical Island because Celebi didn't exist. But I mean, Mewtwo was the top played deck and maybe the best deck. The thing that holds it back is it's weak to lightning. That still holds it back, right? Because Pikachu is still very good, right?
Wait, what's weak to lightning?
Oh, sorry, I was thinking water. It's not weak to lightning at all. You're
Yeah.
correct. So
Wait, what should you say? Celebi? I
yeah,
didn't hear
I,
you.
I was thinking Mewtwo.
Which is weak to yeah. Oh,
Darkness.
Mewtwo. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking the
Yeah.
water
There are like
decks.
lots of cards that are weak to lightning, which is kind of weird. I mean, like it kind of makes sense, but it's like there's just so many cards that are weak to lightning. Like the birds are all weak to lightning. which is like really good for Lightning, I guess.
Right. Well, yeah, and that actually, yeah. Anyway, that's not this. So, look, I think Mewtwo's the better deck. And then, how do you play? How do you build the Mewtwo? I'm not certain yet, which is its own interesting question to me.
Yeah, so I guess we should talk about Mew EX now. I think Mew EX is good in Mewtwo. I think well, I play one copy. I'd recommend that. I made a video. I was like really harsh on Budding Expeditioner. I was like, this card's like essentially garbage. I mean, maybe not garbage, but so I don't think that card's good. But I think Mew EX is good with Juno Pack and copying one of your points active Pokemon's attacks. It's really good against Charizard EX. I've not seen that much. I mean, I've seen Charizard EX.
Hmm.
I've seen like Fire with Charizard EX and Moltres EX, but then you also play Arcanine EX. So they just go in with Arcanine EX because
Right.
Charizard EX just like instantly dies to Mew EX. It's like actually that like I feel like that's got to be unwinnable. Even if you like get super lucky, Mew EX just comes in and one shots you for less energy than you on a basic. Like
Right.
that can't work. I think Arcanine EX is actually better. Like Arcanine EX is pretty good one-shotting Celebi EX. Because Celebi EX, I think Celebi EX is overplayed. Um, I mean, like if we look at the top decks on Limitless here, which I've talked about this some as well in the past. I mean, every new set, the new cards are overplayed because they're new cards and people want to try them out. And so
Right.
I
Well,
think Celebi EX is like really overplayed, but it's not bad. But I don't think it's the second best deck in the game.
no, although it's a little interesting because, like we said, it's early days, and yes, we've got a decent amount of cards, but most people don't have copies of all these new cards,
Oh,
right?
but these are people who are playing in tournaments, potentially spending money on the game. I mean, I said all my opponents, like I played literally like 3 hours after the set dropped. I was like playing a bunch of games, and don't know this time, and people were like it was mostly Celebi EX. So I don't know how that happened. I didn't have Celebi. I got it within a few days. I think that's like not super hard to obtain, but um like getting like because everyone had Celebi almost everyone. So I don't know. Maybe people are just spending a lot of money. Like I don't know anyone who's. I know one person who spent a little bit of money, and that's it. I know like a lot of people who play the game, and like none of them have spent money on it and have had like a good experience, but don't have all the cards. So I don't know. But people do have these cards.
Yeah, yeah, which is interesting. I don't obviously what percentage of people are actually spending money in the game. We don't know. Pokemon knows that obviously, and it's a big deal to them to encourage people to spend money. So, like, I think I will say Celebi's good. It's not great, but I also think that's better for the game, right? The regular
Yeah.
TCG
What do you
too.
mean not great? Like I think it might be top five.
Okay, I think yeah.
And like if you like, I
It,
mean, the decks are kind of grouped by type, and there's only 10 types, and they can't all be good. Some are really bad. Like dragons, like has like two. It has 4 cards, and the one's at stage 2, so it's 3 or that. And then so that can't be one of the top types. And metal has a few more cards. It has um, I think 1 more card. And then
does
so
it
that
did it get
also
one
can't be
more?
very good unless it's like some insane card. And then Darkness doesn't have any EXs, I don't think, which like isn't great for it. Darkness is okay. Darkness might be a top 5 type. I think colorless, like I feel like colorless is it's just colorless, right? So it's kind of different.
Yeah. No, look, I with the TCG, and this is like a mini set. So, and mini sets are always different than TCG, but there always is with the TCG generally one new like deck that is potentially the best deck in format when the new set drops, and that's kind of how they
For
design it.
regular sets or for
Yes,
mini sets.
for
Yeah.
regular sets certainly. So, and I guess not with mini sets as much. But look, I never liked that. I don't think the new set should
Yeah.
be
Oh,
the
so
new deck.
with this past year though, Pokemon hasn't been doing that. We just obviously we're getting kind of sidetracked, but yeah, this fine. So so we had Temporal Forces as the first set
Hmm.
that didn't have a clear best deck. You had like the Future Box, but that was okay. I was highly played in the ladder, but it wasn't like that good. And then you had some other things which were okay from that set, like Ancient Box. Is that set, I guess? And then you had Twilight Masquerade, which introduced TMS Ogre Pawn EX, but that's not really its own deck. And there's
Right.
the Ogre Box. I guess the Ogre Box was like the deck from that set, but obviously it wasn't as good as like Charizard
No.
EX or even like Chimp-Pow EX. Then Shroud Fable was a mini set. Then we had Stellar Crown. Stellar Crown introduced Terapagos EX, which I guess is the closest we gotten to like a really main attacker. And in that case, it was like a really main attacker, but it's not like it became the best deck instantly or anything like that. Um, And we did end up seeing a lot of different things with Air Zero Underdepths. And then with Surging Sparks, we've seen a bunch of different decks that have been like these tier 2 decks and a bunch of interesting support cards that are cool and not like, I don't know, I feel like Pokemon's been trying to balance the game better, which is cool to see. But then with Genetic Apex, the top 3 decks are, well, there's the Mewtwo pack. The best deck from the Mewtwo pack is Mewtwo. The
Yes.
best deck from the Pikachu pack is Pikachu, and arguably the best deck from the Charizard pack is Charizard. Although arguably I'd probably say it's Water. I'd say that's better. But
Yeah.
um, and then with Mythical Island, it's not MewEX. MewEX isn't really a deck. I would not recommend at all playing MewEX without Mewtwo EX. I believe you could play MewEX as a tech, as a one of tech, or even a two of tech in some other deck.
Right.
But really, it should not be the main attacker. But then that would be Celebi. So you have one main attacker, and there's only one I guess there's only one pack art because the pack art is the same as the pack for the set. So this time, it's the best deck isn't the one on the front.
Yeah, no, look, I like this set, and look, I like Celebi's. I think it is a good deck, and it might be the top 5 deck, and I think that's all good. It still has its weaknesses, which I like that as well. Obviously, not just there's a little weakness to fire, but also just having to have superior really as a stage 2. It just is what it is. And then you also have like the Celebi list I'm looking at here. They play the Executor, they have the 1/1 split of the Executor, which is interesting, right? And in the list
Yeah,
I'm
I
looking.
found that. I've also so you haven't really played it. I found the Executor. Where is this deck? I don't know. But it plays the Executor, which does it's like it's a big attack, very expensive, and
Yeah,
it's like kind of strong. I've not used that. Maybe I just have gotten unlucky. It's situational, but I found this Executor like kind of useless. I like the EX. I think that's a fun and good card. But yeah, in terms of like prize map, like prize trade stuff, point trade, then you have the you probably want to go in with 2 EXs. That's generally the game plan. I think that's if things go right. If things go wrong, then a
right.
1 point Pokemon could be really good. But I find that a lot of the times things go okay and you're able to get a CellVX in the active and start being like doing something. So I'm not a big fan of that. If anyone knows, like obviously, yes, it can one shot. It can one shot a lot of Pokemon, but this is 4 energy. That's 2 attachments if you have the superior, but that's stage 1 and a stage 2. And it is still 2 attachments. And it's
Right.
not good against everything either.
No. All right. So right. You're what if you get it set up like by turn 5, you've probably beaten the odds with that, right? I would anticipate.
Turn 5. Wait, like your 5th turn?
Yeah, because you
I
already
don't know.
have
I
to
think
have a
you get it turn
superior and you have
4.
the Executor. Yeah, maybe. I mean, obviously
Like
turn
I know.
3.
I guess if you're playing the 1/1 Executor, then I think it's kind of sketchy. Yeah, I've not really gotten it with the superior like ever in a situation where I've wanted it. I've had it a few times, but not against a deck that I felt like it would be really good against.
I mean, I've played a decent amount of stage 2 decks with the Greninja,
Oh,
with the
oh
one,
yeah,
and with the Gardevoir, and it's probably the vast majority of the time it's not set up by turn 3, and I'm not even
yeah. I
sure
think
if
with
I.
Gardevoir, with Mythical or with Mythical Slab, I think it's like it's certainly getting closer noticeably.
Yes, right. But before this, it was maybe what 25% then. I mean, it was even turn 4. It probably didn't feel like it
For my
happened
opponents, it was 100%.
half the time. So it was like turn 5, turn 6, I would get it set up, and that so it's really is that's where it was a little too swingy. Like you get the games where you set up, and obviously you roll your opponent, or you just don't set up, and you just lose, or occasionally neither you nor your opponent set up as well, right? You have those games
Yeah,
too.
or both.
Yeah. So, the stage 2s are very swingy. They always are, but they're a lot more swinging in pocket than TCG. I'd like something to help them get a little more consistent. But I think when we're talking offline too, though, you raised a good point. If we don't want to make these decks too strong, right? Because they're trying to keep pocket like a toned down version of the TCG, so we don't want it to set up powerful decks like too fast either.
Yeah. And also one thing, like they're not going to add search. Hopefully, I mean, I hope they don't add search because ultimately it's going to slow the game down a lot. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Pokemon's very aware of that, and that's why they have not. So then you will never be like truly fully consistent. But they could just
Right.
add in like items for like every Pokemon. Like, oh, this gets a superior, this one gets like a Curly, this one gets a Gardevoir. Um, And yeah, so we'll see what they decide to do for consistency. And one thing is like EXs are really good, which is, I mean, I didn't expect they'd be this good. But I guess let's talk about. Do you want to talk about Scolipede now? Just
Um,
go down the list
yeah,
because
yeah,
I think you talked about it a little. But what it does, I don't know if you said exactly what it does, but for 2 energy, it does when 20 of your points active is poisoned, otherwise it does 70.
right.
I'm looking at the top list here on Limitless. Well, the Whirlipede also does 20 in poison for 1. Have you played it with the Tauros?
Um, no, I just pulled the Tauros like an hour ago, so I haven't
Okay, yeah,
played it.
I've not pulled any
That
Tauroses. I want to play it. Have you played? I assume you haven't played with like Marshadow or Aerodactyl EX either.
no, in fact, I don't. I don't think I have. Maybe I have one Aerodactyl EX. I don't remember now. So, and
Yeah.
obviously evolving from a what? It's an amber, right? It's not a fossil. Um,
Yeah.
I get confused with because what evolves from what, but it's tricky. Um, it was annoying when I doing the challenges or whatever the missions are. Playing as the Aerodactyl deck was a bit annoying for me. But other than that, it's just annoying. But
Yeah.
that was it. I don't think it's overly effective.
Yeah, it's there are times like I played against Aerodactyl EX and I like dead drew kind of, except I had like the whole superior line in my hand. And so I was like, oh, I could just like do this, and I played their Aerodactyl and I just couldn't. But that was the situation where I was in a really bad spot anyways. So yeah, but how good have you found this? Like on
Yeah.
Limitless, especially with the newer stuff, like the data isn't super accurate, but this win rate is insane. It's obviously very like the top okay, like the Mew, there's two Mewtwo EX decks. But then the top two decks are Mewtwo and Celebi in terms of plays by a lot. And then the next two decks, the Scolipede deck and the Arcanine deck, are counters to those top two decks, and they're doing super well, which is kind of interesting to note. But I think they are good because of counters.
Yeah, I mean, I look, like I said, I didn't have the Tauros. I built the deck, and I don't remember what I put in instead. I must have put something else in instead.
Yeah, was it probably just like a trainer or something?
Yeah,
Or is it not?
I don't remember if it was a Pokemon or not right now. Anyway, but it's just I only played a couple times. It went really badly, and I'm not anxious
Oh,
to jump back to it again. I gotta say.
what do you mean? Like you just didn't set up at
Well,
all?
again, yeah, the whole thing. Stage twos aren't my friends, is what I'll say.
I mean Scolopede's really hard. It's hard to get into play. It's like, but the idea is like Weezing. It's probably if you ask people like what's the stall Pokemon, people would probably say Weezing. Maybe like I don't know. There's like lots of different
Right.
things, but Weezing is it's not the tankiest Pokemon, but it's like I feel like Weezing's not that hard to get into play, and it's decently tanky for a 1 point Pokemon. And then you can Koga, and that is you like buy some turns with Weezing. Obviously, ideally you'd Koga, like you'd Weezing Koga, Scolipede in the late game, but I think you can like probably get to turn 5 or 6 pretty consistently, and then by that point there's a decent chance you'll have Scolipede. And also Whirlipede. I do like Whirlipede as an attacker, assuming your opponent doesn't evolve, doing 20 plus poison in immediate 30 plus
Yeah.
10 coming, like just applying that poison. I like Whirlipede, Scolipede, Venipede a lot more than the Muck. Before, I think I didn't really play with the Muck because it seemed bad. I played with it a few times and it wasn't good. And I think general consensus is that it's not great either.
Um, the muck into yeah, no, the muck I don't love. The other one, the fighting, the what's the fighting for two energies that did I mean the darkness
Marshawn?
one. No, not the
Uh,
darkness that would go with Weezing. The old way to play it.
oh yeah, the Arbok. Yeah,
Right, the Arbok, and I played the Arbok deck a decent amount, and I like that
yeah.
deck. It's pretty good. You have choices, which I enjoy with it. Um, I just don't know with these stage twos, and maybe I'll get to the point where I feel comfortable with it. But
Yeah, Scolipede has like the upside of Arbok and Muck together, with the cheaper attack and the higher damage and
right,
higher HP as well.
yes,
But it is a stage 2. But ultimately, Arbok and Muck were still late game attackers. So assuming your opponent doesn't get off to a super strong start and starts one-shotting your Weezings, you should be okay. And the only decks that'll be one-shotting Weezings, like theoretically, if Fire pops off, it could. But then what you're really scared about, like Mewtwo's the big one-shotting deck, and you're not scared about that because of the weakness. It's really meaningful because you're trying to take these longer games where weakness becomes more meaningful. And then also you have then like a Celebi could get back. I don't know. I haven't played this too much against I didn't play this deck that much. It was okay when I played it, but
Oh,
it's a
which
little fluky as well.
the Scolipede deck you've played a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, with Tauros, because my question is,
No, I don't. Tauros seems kind of fun, like because it's a basic. It's more expensive, but it's the idea that you power it up behind the Weezing, just like the Scolipede. I want to play. I don't have Tauros. Tauros seems one of the most interesting cards from the set, to be honest.
yeah, I mean the 3 energy seems very tough to power up, right? So, I actually
But
might
like Mew EX is like, well, I guess you don't like Mew EX either.
um well, but Mew EX you can power up with your
Well, not in
Gardevoir.
Gardevoir. Like if you're in a not Gardevoir, do you think it's
Oh,
just bad in other decks?
I think so. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I consider it. Look, what I think is I might do it in a water deck where I've got the Pokemon that moves the energy, right?
Well, no, no,
Does it only
because
go to water Pokemon?
yeah, it's from
Oh,
water
to
Pokemon to
water.
water
Oh, then
Pokemon.
forget. All right.
Yeah, the energy acceleration is literally only for that. Sorry, for literally
Wow.
all of them. Superior is grass Pokemon. Um, Gardevoir's psychic Pokemon. Some accelerators themselves, but we're
Right.
not counting those. Misty's water Pokemon, and so is Vaporeon. Moltres EX is fire Pokemon, and there might be some that I'm forgetting too, and I'm pretty sure they're all that way. Which is kind of disappointing. I think Mew EX though. I think like theoretically, if you're pairing it with like Moltres EX, because you can't Moltres to it, but you can Moltres to your attacker, then attach to
Yeah.
Mew EX. You often end up like having some extra attachments at some points. It's like good, especially because there's some matchups where Mew EX is just kind of insane against Mewtwo EX or especially Charizard EX. It's really good. I think. Again, I've not actually done that because if I played against Charizard EX and I've been playing Mew EX, they don't go in with the Charizard EX just because
Right.
they're that scary.
Well, that's the thing with the Mew EX, and I haven't played it, but I partly haven't wanted to play it because when I played against it, I feel like to a certain extent it gives me the advantage a lot of times because I can control what Mew EX can do, right? Like if I'm, what Pokemon I put in the active, and a lot of times there are evolution decks I'm playing. So do I evolve or do I not evolve, right? Because like if I have, like I'll put my basic, the Starmie, Staru, whatever it is, right? That does
Yeah,
20.
sorry.
I stick that in the active. They're now three-shotting me. They can either with one energy they can do 20, or they can put 3 energy on and do 20. So I can just let them hit me once, or hit me twice, and then I can kind of poke into them twice and then knock them out with my EX at that point. So
Yeah, but then also you're letting them, like they're forcing you to do something. Like you would rather be attacking with Starmie EX than Staryu. And yes, you're slowing the game down, but that's giving them, like that's them doing something to you, which even if it's not immediately resulting in points in their favor, it is giving them some control over the game. Like it's
yeah,
forcing you to do something. It doesn't necessarily mean it's great. It doesn't, but it means that's a good thing to be doing.
no, I mean that's true, but because you don't have control of what the attack can do, it's questionable. Look, it's a lot better than the Ditto that you actually need the energy of the Pokemon you're attacking, right? Which you probably aren't going to have. So that was just an absurd card to have printed. But so
Yeah.
Mew EX is okay. But the other thing is, I think you want to put it in your Gardevoir decks with like Mew or something. And now bench space is an issue too because I have a stage 2 and I really would like to get 2 Ralts down plus my other attacker, and deck space becomes an issue with the stage 2. So, putting the Mew in is, I think, a little more questionable.
Yeah, so I play it. So how good do you think Sigilyph is in UBX?
Yeah, and that's the way I'm playing it. And I like the Sigilyph a lot because I have the whatever the slab, whatever it is, to get the cards.
Yeah.
But then Sigilyph 80 HP, so it's like Meowth, but much better, but only for psychic decks because the
Yeah. I mean,
attack.
it's like better. I don't think it's like astronomically better. It's better.
Well,
I played Mew. Did you ever play Meowth and Guardian Mewtwo?
no, I played it in some of my Misty decks. I think is what I was in
Yeah.
my Greninja decks.
Greninja, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did play it in Gardevoir. I kind of liked it. It has some issues. There's a lot of nuance there, but we don't really talk about that. But yeah, I play a Sigilyph and a Mew EX. I don't think you have bench space if you don't play both of those down. Bench space issues if you don't play both of those down. But if you do, then you can have serious issues where but it's not like you don't necessarily just like have a massive issue if you have one Mewtwo EX, one Mew EX, one Ralts, because you don't ever need a second Gardevoir. I mean, no, a second Gardevoir is nice, but you're not going to get a second Gardevoir. You don't need just a second Ralts really ever. There's certain situations, but generally not. And then the Sigilyph, which just kind of eats up bench space and But UEX is a threat. Sigilyph is not a threat. It's not doing anything once the game's kind of progressed,
Y-
once you're set up. But
Well, yeah, but you see, but like you said, once you set up, whereas the Siglif helps me set up, Mew does not, and that's to me. I think when I play just Mew,
well, yeah, that's why I play them both. I mean, I like them. I honestly think my favorite part about UEX is it's really funny against Celebi EX because you get to flip coins. Um, and it's like pretty solid there as well.
see, I when I play Mewtwo EX, my thought is if I set up my Gardevoir early enough, I'm going to win the game, like 90%
Yeah.
of the time. So I want the card that's going to help me set up, and Siglif helps me set up because it draws a card. That's good. I obviously it's a basic, as is Mew, but it's a basic that helps me set up, so it's really good. The 10 damage usually is not relevant, but occasionally it is. But drawing the card and the ADHP means I'm not getting one shot. I'm not like on turn. Especially if I go first, if I go second, I can attack my first turn, and they're probably not knocking me out the second turn. So I get to draw another card off that. So that's two extra cards I've drawn. So so that extra 40 HP from the Meowth is very good, and just it's just a big plus, I think. So I like it in the deck. I get your arguments. I'm not sold. I haven't tried it yet though, so I'll have to try it, and I'll get back to you if it really is better.
Yeah, I think it's like decent because of some of the like threat stuff that it can do. And having more like things to scare your opponent is good to reduce their options. But I do like it's not an absolutely insane card. And then
hmm Although, hang on,
was
just because the one point you made earlier, and I do agree, is that I would rather have him knock out an EX by a second EX. The downside to the Siglif is I'm giving up one prize with the Siglif probably. So now, once they take out my Mewtwo EX, they only have to knock out one, and I lose the game. So that's the downside to the single prize Pokemon. Whereas a Mew EX,
yeah, point.
a point, yeah, sorry. Um,
No,
but making your opponent take 4 points is a lot better than 3 points. And the best, and obviously, potentially you could do a single point card, and then a 2 point card. But right now, I'm not playing decks that are built to do that. Maybe I got to start looking into that.
yeah, I think like there are single point attackers in Vue EX that people were playing, or in Mewtwo EX.
Yeah.
There was the Baby Mewtwo, which I thought was like really bad. I mean, I've never actually seen. I saw a lot of lists on Limitless playing it, but against on the just like playing, I never saw anyone play that down. I saw Jinx. In fact, Jinx is actually pretty good right now against like Celebi EX because it's not energy cards. There are no energy cards, but it's energy. So if your opponent has the Celebi EX with like the superior in play, they might have like they could have 10 energy and just like one shot them. Wait, how much do you need to one shot them? Um,
I'm trying to call it up
oh no,
here.
you need if they had six energies, well five energies, you'd one shot the Celebi EX. So yeah, Jinx is pretty good. It's not like insane. It's good against that deck, and that is a 1 point attacker. So you can use Sigilyph, Jinx, and then you can go Mewtwo EX. But
Yes.
I don't know that's not like super awesome, and then you might have like lots of weird issues just playing all these different Pokemon.
Right. Then at what point is the deck just less consistent? It's a balancing game, right? And we're trying to figure it out. It's still early days to Pocket. It's early days, obviously, Mythical Island, but Pocket's still very much, we're figuring that out still too. I would think.
Yeah. And then also with we've talked a lot about Mewtwo EX. I think it's just really the main deck with this set. I mean, like Celebi EX is good, but it's new and there's not too much to say about it. But what are your thoughts on Leaf and Mewtwo EX and X Speed?
All right, so yeah, so Leaf, and I have started putting that in some decks. I ignored it at first, I gotta say, because I felt like I'd rather play Professor's Research than Leaf, right? Early game. So
Well, yeah, but I'd put like 6 research on my deck if I could.
no,
But you can't.
I get it. So, and the question is, I think I'd rather play Gardevoir than Leaf most times, or I'd rather play Sabrina than Leaf most times. That's what in depth. I got to figure that out, right? But that's was my initial
Mhm.
thought. I'd rather play any of those supporters over Leaf. In which case,
Wait, Gardevoir? Oh, Giovanni?
yeah, possibly Giovanni. Yeah, sorry. So
That's what I was like, what?
sorry.
I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah. So to me, it was like at best like the fourth best supporter in the game was my mindset. Now I could be wrong about that. So if it's the fourth best
No, I
support,
think that's fair, but like obviously like Giovanni is situational. There are lots of
yeah.
times when it just doesn't really do anything. Sabrina is Sabrina's not really ever a bad supporter to play. I mean, there are a few times when it's very bad to just give your opponent a switch if they want it, but like it's kind of annoying. Obviously, it's best used to win the game by forcing your opponents like I don't know. There are just various situations where it allows
Right.
you to take knockouts on the bench to win.
So, I mean,
I assume you haven't played Pokemon Flute with Sabrina, right?
no, I haven't.
I've not seen anyone do that, but
I haven't played Pokemon Flute yet, so I don't know. Yeah, I mean, because part of it is you got to get the card at the right time. It's obviously a late game card, so you should
but
get it.
if they have a full bench or like multiple bench Pokemon, then it doesn't really do anything anyways. So
Correct. So yeah, I mean, at some point I'll have to try it because it does seem fun. I did have the single prize a Pidgeot deck, so get that and Pidgeot it up. Hopefully, have some fun with that. But I think with Leaf, you, I'm starting to put in decks. I think it's probably a one copy of card. The problem is when are you going to get it, right? Probably there's some mix between a Sabrina, Leaf, Giovanni, right? And they're not all two ofs. It's probably might be like a bunch of one ofs of each. But then are you going to get the cards when you need them, right? And even blue, right? Which again kind of fits in this conversation too. Which cards of what counts, and then the question is, are you going to get it when you need it, right? And I'm not sure because for consistent, I'm kind of consistency first, so I want two copies of each, and I don't think there's many decks where I want two Leafs. Is where I'm at.
yeah, I think oh, I might play two Leafs in my guard board. Like, so my thought process is that support, like games go on a decent amount of time, and you're not going to see all your supporters in your deck. And so, and XP is obviously good, especially like turn one Sigilyph. At that point, it's kind of weird with Sigilyph because XP is really good for Sigilyph, but
Yeah,
you can like if you start Mewtwo EX and then you Pokeball for Sigilyph, then you can't attack with it turn one, right? So um, if you have X speed and not Leaf. But I think Leaf's like good in this deck because you want to preserve energies. There are times you need to retreat your Mewtwo so it stays alive. But if you lose an energy, then you won't be able to power it up in one turn using Side Shadows on Gardevoir, the ability, and then also an attachment if you just have one energy on. So I don't know. I thought Leaf was my opinions on Leaf have changed. I've been like, this card's terrible, and then I was like, oh, this card's broken, and now I'm like, this card, I just don't know. But
right. I'm looking at my list that I'm playing now, and for Mewtwo, and I have one copy of Leaf. So I put that, and I have a couple of decks with two copies of Leaf. I have two copies of my
what are they?
Gyarados has two copies of Leaf. My Scolipede has two copies of Leaf in it as well.
Mhm.
But
Are there any? What other decks are worth talking about as we're kind of wrapping up here?
all right, let's take a look. I mean, there's the there's Arcanine. Let's see, what else
I
is
think
there?
Arcanine, like the only thing to say about Arcanine, like Fire is well, so the EX Fire decks are
Yeah,
like good against Celebi, and so that's the thing. And then Pikachu, there's some stuff to say about Pikachu, but I think it's less interesting than Mewtwo by a lot. Obviously, we've talked about that. And then like, what are your thoughts on the new Rapidash? I think it's well, I don't know. I mean, it's a coin flip, right? It's 40 or 100 on a coin flip. It does 60 more.
right. But you can play it with the supporter, right?
Blaine. Yeah, with
With
Blaine to
Blaine.
do 130, which I said in a video that there weren't that many Pokemon with 130, or I couldn't think of any. There are some, but like I got a comment. Someone was like, "There's Pikachu EX, which has 120." But yes, that does. You do one shot it with Rapidash plus Blaine, but you do that with Ninetales. And this is Celebi EX, which also you hit for weakness. But they also said Mew EX, Starmie EX, and Articuno EX, which are very meaningful. And so or are meaningful. I don't think they're like hugely meaningful. Certainly, Pikachu EX and Celebi EX are more meaningful than those, I think. Which it doesn't. The Rapidash doesn't matter for that.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, like, because I played a decent amount of Blaine's decks with the Rapidash and the Ninetales. The
The
Rapid,
old Rapidash,
yeah,
right?
the old
Before.
Rapidash. What I liked about that is I felt like the one energy attack was really important for that deck, though.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and it seems kind of weird. Also, so we're looking at Limitless. There's two different Ninetales Rapidash decks. Right now, the first one is the one with the new Rapidash. It's honestly like kind of you can't tell. Like they literally are exactly the same looking. So, um,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's got a lower win rate, the one with the new
yeah,
Rapidash.
and
Let's
it's more played. Those are probably correlated because it's lower win rate because it's more played. People just like
Right.
trying stuff
And it's
out.
got the new Magmar too, right? Whereas,
Does it? I
y-
mean, there is the new Magmar.
yeah, the one
Oh
I'm
yeah, this
looking
one
at has
does.
it. So the top deck I clicked on has it. So I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure
think
that.
Magmar is bad in the deck because the energy. This is 2 energy and it discards both, and it
Yeah,
doesn't do that much. It does less than Ninetales.
correct. It's a
You
basic,
can
right?
one shot Celebi, yeah, you can one shot Celebi EX with Blaine, which is like really good, I guess. I think Magmar. I think you could even play Moltres EX in this deck now to get the energies on, because you do have
Mhm.
before you had like your energy was like okay, you would get by, but now it's very sketchy. But you could play Moltres EX, very good card, probably not getting knocked out immediately. Then you can just go ahead and retreat it when it's been hit into for like 50 by a Mewtwo EX or
Right.
Celebi EX, and just go from there and get some energies on the board.
I kind of like that, yeah, because the rap now the Rapidash having 2 inches is okay, and then it does it. The Moltres EX is Lightning Weak rather than Water Weak, so that is meaningful in matchups too. So
I guess I feel like the water weakness can't like it's obviously not like perfect, but actually no, yeah, Articuno EX like one shot Star or Ninetales with the weakness, but not without it. So that is meaningful.
I mean, I'm thinking of it in terms of the Charizard deck, but obviously Charizard EX is a two prizer. Um, although it's harder to one shot. Where these are one prizers, so they're gonna get one shot much more frequently anyway,
Mhm.
weakness or not. So it might be less important here, but it's still good to have weakness diversity. So yeah, the Moltres could be good, and the Moltres, hopefully you're using it, it doesn't get knocked out, and then you can get it to the bench, right? That's
Yeah, I think if you give up the 2 points for Voltus EX, that's really bad. Um, but
right,
ideally you won't, and you'll have less of Pokemon in play, so you won't get like Sabrina. I believe you could get Sabrina around the Moltres CX, but you wouldn't get like have to send up the Moltres CX to get knocked out to give up easy points like later in the game. So I
right,
don't know. I think there's some stuff with the deck. I don't think the new. I mean, the Rapidash is very like it's another card. I don't like super swingy randomness. Celebi EX has a lot of coin flips, but
yeah,
most of the time you're going to like flip somewhere in the middle, right? And same thing like Moltres CX. I think I don't know if I've ever seen it flip through your zero heads. I can't think of the last time. Like yes, it like most of the time it should hit one or two, but like most says in like 3/4 of the time it'll hit one or two. So um, but
yeah,
I think but this is not that random. This with the Rapid Dash, it's like if you flip heads, that's insane. If you flip tail, like it's very good. It's a very good attacker. It's more HP than Ninetales, more damage, essentially cheaper cost, and you don't discard.
right.
Just like way better. If you just do 40, it's worse than the other Rapid Dash because you're attaching an extra energy. So I'm not a massive fan of. I mean, we both aren't massive fans of coin flips all over the place, but
Right.
um,
Of these new cards, though, I'm thinking I did ultimately put a Magmar into my old Blaine's deck with the old Rapidash, of course. I think I like the old Rapidash, but the new Magmar probably makes sense in that deck because you're probably just attacking with it once
um,
anyway.
I
Um,
guess, but like Ninetales is better. I think Magmar you can attack early game. That seems really sketchy and really bad. Like you probably can't win if you attack with it early on.
but
I feel
honestly,
like.
but I found having the Magmar initially I didn't have Magmar on the deck because I thought it didn't make sense. But then eventually I tried it out and I found I think it did make the deck work better just because it was a
With the
basic.
new Magmar or with the
No, with
old?
the old Magmar.
Oh, with the old one.
So
Yeah,
so
I think it's
therefore, I think the new
okay.
Magmar might be better than the old Magmar in the deck.
Yeah, I think I had Farfetched in it or like Kangaskhan or something, and I
Right.
was like, oh, this is kind of fun. But anyways, the deck's like I don't think you think it's that good, right?
No, I think Blaine's is okay. This Rapidash, the new Rapidash doesn't seem like the way I'm going to prefer to play it, but I'll have to give it a try at some point. I
Yeah. Oh, and then with Gyarados, I guess that's like the last thing. I just we don't really have
yeah.
anything to say about Druddigon or like Pidgeot EX.
No, I mean,
Um,
no, I don't. You don't either, right?
Not really. There you could dive into some stuff, but I think Gyarados EX is like kind of fun. It's really I don't have two Gyarados. I only have one Gyarados EX and I only have one Misty, and I only have one Articuno EX. But I kind of want to try it out. Like essentially unstoppable once it sets up. I mean, it doesn't one shot Mewtwo EX unless you have Giovanni, but you definitely want to play two Giovannis, and then the
Yeah.
discarding an energy is just like almost like you could get lucky and discard one of your opponent's energies on a meaningful Pokemon. But realistically, it just like doesn't do much of anything. It probably discards from you, but you're not setting up another Pokemon anyways, so it doesn't matter. Um,
It's right. I mean, well, the problem is you might discard your energy from like your bench Pokemon, right? And if they knock you out,
but they're probably not getting knocked out. Like you're probably not sending Gyarados EX up until one of your Pokemon's already been knocked out. So
yeah.
at that point, you're just guaranteed to lose if Gyarados EX gets knocked out anyways. Discarding your own energy is never good, but yeah.
I mean, a bunch of the decks I saw when I was looking at the Gyarados are playing the Eternatus, and that always
What?
the I mean the
That's
I
definitely
mean
not
they're
the
playing
right.
Druddigon. Sorry,
Oh,
Druddigon, the dragon type.
like on just against random people or in Limitless.
No, in Limitless when I was looking,
Oh, okay.
which seemed a little odd, but I was trying to figure out, are you supposed to then play the fire energy or not
I
in
think
that
you
deck?
don't. I think because obviously then that doesn't help. Like theoretically, you could have issues with Gyarados there. A Druddigon's an interesting Pokemon as like a wall. It's decently. It's 100
It's
HP.
100 HP, and it
That's a
does
lot for a basic.
right, and it does 20. The opponent takes 20 damage if they knock it out,
Yeah, it's
or
an
if it's
interesting
damaged even.
Pokemon. So I don't know. I think it's kind of cool, and but it like can get stuck. Your opponent is just like not hit into it. Again,
Yes.
forcing your opponent to make plays that they don't want to make is good, but it's like the same issue as with the Mew EX, where like you're not necessarily doing anything either. So I don't know. I think there's some cool stuff that we need to wait and see.
Right. I mean, the decks then that play the Druddigon, then they're playing two leaf to get you out of it later on. So, but again, that now that's like either two, four, or three deck spots, depending if you're playing two of the Druddigons or one, right? Because you probably need
Yeah,
two
and obviously
leaves.
you want to start it.
Yes. So you want two of that, and you need two leaves if you're gonna if you're gonna be able to get it when you need it, probably. So that's a lot of deck space to eat up. So anyway,
Yeah. But anyways, I think the new set's cool. There's some really good cards, but they're not like game breaking. There's some
yeah.
fun cards, and there's a good amount of content. I was a little nervous it would be very tame, like with mini sets in the regular TCG. It's often just stuff that like I don't think is really interesting at all. Like Prismatic Evolutions is so boring. It's not like there's some interesting stuff, but it's very boring. But
Yeah.
I think this is a really cool set.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, a mini set a year from now is going to be a lot less impactful. So that may be different, right? That may not care much at that point. But I think they did a good job. They have enough cards that are interesting and meaningful, but not overpowered. So I think I think it's made the game a pocket better, which doesn't always happen when sets have been added to TCG. So I am definitely pleased with it.
Yeah. But anyways, we hope you enjoyed the podcast. Consider checking us out on our separate YouTube channels, Uncommon Fossil and 10 Types, and on podcasting platforms as well. So you can check us out and just like listen. And I guess it depends if you have like YouTube, premium, you can listen when screen off. But regardless, we hope you enjoyed. And as always, we're excited to see you in the next episode.
Take care.